What is up, YouTube? Intricate Explorer here today. I'm an adventure photographer, and today we're at the Muir Woods National Monument in Northern California. So in order to make this work, I basically picked a day where it's supposed to be forecasted as cloudy and a little foggy all day. So I think this is the best possible day for this type of setting, namely because you don't have the harsh light from above like coming down, and just like the moisture that's in the air just helps make that green around here feel so much more vibrant. So we're gonna see how this works out. So the genre of photography we're gonna be shooting today, which is very intimate, high dynamic range scenes, is one genre I've never really been that good at. So I think one reason these kind of scenes can be so hard for me is because I'm a super minimalist person. So usually that transcends into my photography because I like breaking everything down into very small subjects and possibilities. Whereas you look around here, and there's just so much going on in every square space, it's hard to break down a singular subject, if that makes sense. So I think what I'm gonna attempt to do to combat that is start really small. So I'm gonna start off with, like, for example, like some bark on a tree here. And I'm gonna zoom in and just get a texture shot of just the bark. And that way it's basically as simple as you could possibly get in a scene like this. All right, so here's another small scene I'm gonna work on. Just this little patch of what looks like 3-leaf clovers. So I'm gonna find a really densely populated patch, isolate it as a subject, and then just put a bunch of them all at once. All right, so now that I got those little scenes out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and work my way up to a slightly bigger composition of some kind. Look at this rock right here. It's like the perfect rock to trip over. Literally perfect. All right, so here's a beautiful composition right here. We've got all these trees right here. Nice little walkway that I can go stand on and position myself with my red coat to contrast all this. There's not too much sky in the shot, so it's gonna be super simple. And we got all these trees shooting up right here, and then some ferns as the foreground. I'll definitely cut this fence off there and probably crop it about like that. Check the shot out. All right, check this tree out right here. Got this nice little frame object here, almost kind of looks like a shark fin. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the shot, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna eliminate a lot of this coloring behind it to really isolate the subject of just this tree line right here. I'm gonna make sure it's entirely in frame, so obviously I'm gonna leave an equal distance on either side of the shot. So one thing that definitely helps in scenes like this is knowing how to use Photoshop over Lightroom. So for example, in Photoshop, you can create masks over certain objects. So for example, like a certain kind of tree branch or trunk, I could isolate and really pull out the light in that, and then decrease the light in everything else surrounding that. So in Lightroom, that's a bit messier to do and it doesn't look nearly as good, but in Photoshop, you can do that much more accurately. So if you want to do these kind of scenes, then I would suggest putting a little bit of time into Photoshop and learning how to get better at that. I like how they say enter quietly, like we're in some kind of like church or something. Apparently the United Nations met here at one point. This is to commemorate that. I love this quote right here. Persons who love nature find a common basis for understanding people of other countries. since the love of nature is universal among men of all nations. So that's why the United Nations met here, is because Roosevelt was one of the first people to push forward the preserving of national parks across the US. And since he was a member of it, they wanted to meet here to commemorate him. So this place actually has a really cool history. I think this was the first meeting place for establishing the United Nations. So here's a pretty cool composition right here. It nicely leads the eye from the bottom way up this tree here. So we're starting at this like black, almost older tree over here, and then, you know, just nice little curve leading up to the top. I'm gonna go ahead and focus stack this. So I'm gonna do a focus there, in the middle, and then up there, so the whole thing stays in focus. Check this out. So now that I've got medium level scenes under my belt, I'm gonna go ahead and step up and try and find something in the larger, more grand category. So you can see my whole process here. If I start off in an environment I'm uncomfortable with, what I like to do is just, you know, slowly work your way up. So start small, slightly bigger, bigger, and bigger. It really helps you get out of those holes where you're trying to just look for the big epic shot and almost warm you up into photography. All right. Let's get a little snack action going here. Let's see what we got. Ooh, Soylent. Honestly, Soylent, if you just want to sponsor me by now, I drink this shit all fucking day. I would sponsor the shit out of this. All right, so we're gonna take a little detour called the Fern Creek Trail, which adds about 1.5 miles to this trailhead. Mainly because of the name Fern. I'm low-key obsessed with ferns, so I'm hoping there's a ton on this trail. All right, I think I'm going crazy right now. So this says Camp Alice Eastwood, 0.2 miles this way. If you go that way, it just takes you into a little tiny loop right here, and then you come out here. Check the other side of this sign out. The other side of this sign says Camp Alice Eastwood, half mile that way. So, which way is it? It's literally saying that way and that way in two different signs on either side of it. I'm so confused right now. So for reference, Camp Alice Eastwood is like the middle point of this trail to make sure you're like on the right way. So I really don't want to miss this trail, this camp, or else I'm gonna be like totally lost in the woods. There's no service out here. So I think I'm just gonna follow one a little ways, and if it gets too weird and too many turns, I'm just gonna go back. I think that's my biggest fear in life, is just totally losing my mind. Like, I could be perfectly fine like being burned alive, drowned, like fall off a building, cliff, whatever. I don't care. But if I'm just like slowly losing my mind and I have absolutely no idea what's going on, that is like my ultimate fear. Thank God I went the right way. I thought it was, so it turns out that was just a shortcut that I was taking that I just didn't see, so thank God. All right, let's do it. This is seriously like one of the most beautiful trails I've done in California. I think so many people get distracted by like the Golden Gate Bridge and just like all the beaches in San Francisco that they just don't see this place, which is literally just 30 minutes north of San Francisco. But this is totally a hidden gem that I'm so glad I stumbled upon. All right, I think we're finally getting closer to Fern Creek. I thought this was, the entire trail was Fern Creek, but apparently only the last part of it is. So we're finally gonna get to the creek actually of ferns. Oh my God, I think there's a little waterfall over here. All right, so to get this waterfall, what I'm gonna do is we got a nice little surrounding object frame here. We got this nice foreground, we got these trees on either side, and then one more tree there. So I'm gonna make sure these are evenly spaced on both sides right there. And then I'm gonna make sure the waterfall is in the very direct center of this shot because it is the main subject here. I'm also probably gonna vignette it a little bit to pull the eye towards the middle of that shot. I'm gonna take a long exposure on that waterfall, and then I'm also gonna focus stack all of these trees right here so everything in this scene is in focus. Check this shot out. All right, I think I'm gonna start to head back. I still got a ways to go, and it just keeps getting darker and darker in here, even though we're like an hour before sunset. So like I said earlier, like you really wanna make sure you get out of these places before it gets too dark because it gets dark fast. All right, that was a great vlog. I think I got a lot of good shots, and I wasn't really sure how that was gonna go. I was a little bit nervous going in, but I think we came out pretty strong. So thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and check out my Explore More merch if you're interested in supporting the channel. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.